Half a day and welcome to GCA Today. I'm Patty Lizama of the GCA Membership Committee. Every week we talk about construction issues within the construction industry. This week I'm very pleased to have with me Siska Hutapia of Cornerstone Valuation Guam. There's three questions that are very important that I need to discuss with Siska, and she's going to enlighten me and all of us on the answers. Siska, welcome.
Thank you, Patty.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure. Very, very powerful woman.
Oh,
And
thank you.
influential, so that's why it's important that we have you. There's three questions I'd like to ask you. And,
Yes.
And all the information that you have will be very, very influential and resourceful for all of us. What are the services provided by Cornerstone Valuation?
Okay, so Cornerstone Valuation Guam, we are known to provide appraisal services. So that's our main service that we provide. So appraisal is to provide unbiased opinion backed by strong market data about a market value of a property. And a lot of time people don't really understand, can you just appraise my land? And they don't understand that what we're appraising really is a bundle of rights that they own on that land.
That's important.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
important. So sometimes it's fee simple ownership, sometimes it's leasehold ownership, and there's difference in it. And so we enlighten a lot of our client about that bundle of rights. So that's appraisal. But sometimes people also want a market rent study. For example, I want to lease 10,000 square feet of a warehouse. What should I pay as a rent? What is the market rent for this space? So we assist a lot of clients too in determining what is the market rent for space. We also do buyer and seller consulting. So for example, we have a client, they want to find a place to put their warehouse. Where should I find a reasonable price M1 zone land in Guam? And because of our database, we know what is the reasonable prices land in Guam, which area is perfect for their business. Because not everyone can be located in Route 3, not everyone can be located at the port. So we provide that with our insights on the market data. We also do a feasibility study and market study. So for example, one of your member wants to build their own facility. What should they build? How many square feet? What kind of layout? What kind of how many stories should they build? So for example, we just assist a client. They want to build their land and they want to know what is the ideal size of improvement. If the construction cost is this much and they can only sell it for 500,000, how many square feet of building that you should build? So we do a lot of that financial aspect of real estate. Your member, the Guam Contractors Association members, they usually think about the hardware of things, like how to build the building, what are the rebars. Because I was a structural engineer too in my first career, so I know the contractor life a little bit. But what I do is really the financial side of things.
Well, they say knowledge is power. You definitely have a lot of that. Are you the only one that provides all the data, that can provide the data information on Guam?
Yes, my company is the only company that collects the statistic on real estate on Guam and publish it regularly for the government and for the public. So with that data, we hope to make Guam real estate market more efficient. Because if it's not efficient, then people don't know, hey, your neighbor just sold the land for 300 and you're selling this for 200 only. We try to educate the market and make the market more efficient with our data.
Well, education is key.
Yes, I agree with you totally.
What is the current status of the real estate market on the island?
Yes, so the 2016 real estate sales volume increased by 73% compared to 2015. So there's really a strong increase in the sales volume. And this is, of course, due to the military buildup related and the strong tourism market. Our tourism market is the strongest we've ever been, and that helps spur up the industry and the interest in Guam. We also have several interests from off-island investor nowadays. It started with the condominium unit, but now it moves up to like commercial building, industrial building, and so we've seen a lot more activity from off-island investor that comes to Guam and try to invest in here.
Based on your knowledge, do you see that increasing?
Yes. We've seen more and more of them coming. But Guam real estate is very susceptible to external factors. Like, for example, when we had catastrophe in Japan, people don't come to Guam, and then it kind of affect the real estate market. And so, it's important that when your client or your member, project to build something, they know the future projection, what is going to happen on this market. For example, if you want to build apartment, what are the market segment for apartment? It has different target market. For residential market, if you're targeting for military tenant, it's going to be about $2,000 and above. If the other segment of the market, for example, is the Section 8 subsidized tenant. They're only at average of $1,300 and below. So there's no in between rent in there. So you have to really know who you're targeting. And if you have a military market, they typically want special design. They want garage, they want open floor plan, and you have to design it to their target market, properly to their target market. So those are the kind of thing that we could provide for our tenants. So another thing that could impact deeply the real estate market in the near future, obviously, is the H2 worker issue. Obviously, the construction cost has increased significantly, and before we do a project, we do a feasibility study and we check the feasibility rent. And there are certain point where the cost exceeds the income. And that's not gonna do good. We've actually seen a decrease in new building permit for residential. We usually have about 300 new residential permit per year, but as of the last 2 years, we only see 200 new building permit based on the data of DPW.
So do you attribute that to the H2 issues?
Because the construction cost is so high, people are less likely to build because they won't get the profit margin that they're needing to make the project feasible.
That is a very hot issue right now.
Yes,
extremely.
it is.
What are the important market factors to pay attention to?
We have to really be in touch with the market. So, for example, if your member wants to build their owner-occupant building, just because they have the land, they own the labor force, people should always build as if they're gonna sell it one day, even though they are not gonna, because we have seen several buildings that, because we have the labor, we're gonna build it and not enough parking. And when they try to sell it, the discount is significant. So, you have to, even though you're allowed to have less parking, parking is a big issue for many commercial building in Guam. And we've seen significant, substantial discount for building that doesn't have enough parking. Or, for example, for designing a house. When you design a house, even though it's going to be your own owner-occupied house, you have to think someday, if I have to sell this, I have to design it, to the market design. You don't put a gigantic theater room. People don't really need that. People don't need that anymore. The trend right now is to keep the square footage smaller and more compact and more open floor plan and functional. So those are the kind of things that you should pay attention to when you build an owner-occupant facility.
I think you said a keyword, functional. That is very, very important.
Yes.
And that will last.
Exactly. That will last.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And you're right. In Guam, we have a lot of building that is have functional depreciation, obsolescence. We have functional obsolescence, and if you have that, you cannot redesign it. You're gonna just have to redevelop or demolish it.
Your forecast for the future.
Forecast for the future. You could come to my office and it would be hourly rate for the forecast for the future. I'm kidding, but
smart girl.
I'm kidding, but we think obviously this H2 worker issue is a hot issue and it is very crucial. But we think the real estate is going to keep increasing because of the strong activity in the tourism market and the military buildup related projects.
I think that's all we need to hear.
Yeah.
That's from a very influential and smart woman. Thank you, Siska.
Thank you, Patty,
Very
for having
much.
me here. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it for today. See you next week.